While I delivered a baby, the mother asked, "Where's your nearest trash can?" "Why? It's in the corner of your room." I gestured toward the small medical waste bin while cradling the newborn who was struggling to breathe. "Go ahead and toss it for me, please." She said it so casually, like she was asking me to throw away a tissue. "What? Ma'am, this is your baby." I held the infant closer to my chest protectively. "Look at it. The little turd is hardly alive. He can barely breathe. Just do us all a favor and throw it out." Her pupils were dilated and she kept scratching at her arms. "Absolutely not." I turned away from her and started checking the baby's vitals. I'd seen the track marks on her arms during delivery. The baby was born premature and underweight with clear signs of neonatal abstinence syndrome. His little body was already going through withdrawal from whatever substances his mother had been using during pregnancy. He needed immediate medical intervention, not a trash can. The mother started getting agitated when I didn't comply. She sat up in the bed despite having just given birth 20 minutes ago. Her hospital gown was soaked with sweat and blood, but she didn't seem to notice or care. The way she looked at her own child like he was garbage made my stomach turn. I knew I had to get this baby to the NICU immediately. His breathing was shallow and his skin had a bluish tint that worried me. Every second counted, but I also couldn't just walk out without following protocol. I needed to document everything and alert social services about the mother's request to dispose of her child. "I'm going to take your son for treatment now. He needs oxygen and monitoring." I kept my voice calm and professional. The mother's eyes narrowed. She looked around the room like she was calculating something. Then her whole demeanor changed. Her face contorted into fake panic and she started screaming at the top of her lungs. "Help me! This woman is trying to hurt my baby!" Her voice echoed down the hospital corridor. Within seconds, 3 other doctors rushed into the room. Dr. Peters and Dr. Burton looked between me and the screaming mother, trying to assess the situation. Behind them, Nurse Melendez appeared, looking concerned. They all knew me, but they also had to respond to a mother's distress call about her newborn. "Put the baby down and return it to the mother." Dr. Peters used his authority voice. "No, I'm trying to save this baby's life. She asked me to throw him in the trash can. She's not in a state to care for him." I held the infant tighter. The mother's performance escalated. Tears streamed down her face as she reached toward me with shaking hands. "She's insane. Why would anyone want to throw out their baby?" I looked desperately at my colleagues. They had to see through this act. The baby in my arms was barely breathing and needed immediate care. His mother was clearly high and had just asked me to dispose of him like medical waste. But the other doctors were looking at me strangely now. Dr. Burton stepped closer with his hands up like he was approaching a dangerous animal. "Gabriella, did you take your medication today? When we hired you, you promised to never miss a day of your medication." My heart sank. They thought I was having an episode. 5 years ago, I'd had a brief mental health crisis during my residency. I'd been properly diagnosed and treated for bipolar disorder. I'd been stable on medication ever since, but that history would always follow me. Now this manipulative woman was using it against me. I never broke that promise. I take my medication every morning. I'm not having an episode. I'm trying to keep this baby in the right hands. I could hear how desperate I sounded, which probably made things worse. To prove my point, I tried to hand the baby to Dr. Peters. If I couldn't take him to NICU myself, at least another doctor could. But as I moved toward him, the whole room erupted. Dr. Burton grabbed my arms while Nurse Melendez tried to take the baby. In the chaos, I held on tighter, afraid they'd drop him. "Stop! You're going to hurt him!" I shouted, but they weren't listening. Someone knocked my legs out from under me and I went down hard. My training kicked in and I managed to protect the baby as I fell, cushioning him against my chest. But then multiple hands were on me, pinning me to the ground. The baby was ripped from my arms and I could hear him crying weakly. "One of you call the police!" Dr. Peters shouted while holding my wrists. Through the tangle of bodies, I could see the mother holding her son carelessly with one arm. She wasn't supporting his head properly. She was staring down at me with a satisfied smirk that only I could see from this angle. Then she started her performance again. "I'm going to sue this woman for everything she has. She tried to steal my baby. She's clearly unstable." She wailed dramatically. I stopped struggling and lay still on the cold hospital floor. 3 of my colleagues were restraining me while a drug-addicted mother held a newborn who desperately needed medical care. The baby's cries were getting weaker, his breathing more labored. Full story link below.